Okay, 6:30. We will call the meeting to order. I believe Brian will not be here unless he walks in any second. He was in Albany this morning, traveling back. He was trying to make it. All right, let's.
New York?
Albany, New York. Yes, Albany, New York. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any scheduled speakers. We have some meeting minutes to take a look at. So February 13th. Yeah. Go on, Tony.
I move we accept the minutes for February 13th as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public comments this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Couple of things. Following the public hearing on Saturday, we seem to have a different view of the world with regard to the selectmen's financial responsibilities. And I had another document that might shed a little bit more light into the petition warrant article that we had discussed on Saturday. And I'd like to present these for your consideration and edification. I thought that they were very well done. Both of these are from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. The first one is titled Legal Q&A, the Selectmen's Authority to, quote, manage the prudential affairs of the town. And that was in New Hampshire Town and City, November, December 2011. And the other is also from New Hampshire Municipal Association, New Hampshire City and Town and City, excuse me, how to segregate financial duties in a small municipal office.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yes, I have, sorry. Regarding the warrant that was posted yesterday,
Yes?
I only saw the one that's posted out here on the bulletin board or the kiosk.
Yes?
I thought that it was town policy that the postings were to also be on the website.
Yes?
I looked repeatedly on Monday and again today for that on the website and could not find it.
I posted today.
Okay, thank you. I did notice on the, that the warrant article, the petition warrant article that we discussed on Saturday was included on the warrant, and that it was also annotated that the selectmen did not recommend that passing.
Okay.
I submitted that warrant article at the budget hearing on January 30th, and I've been to all of the Board of Selectmen meetings since then, and I never heard a public discussion and decision-making process by the board. Could you tell me when that took place?
Well noted. Okay, you're right. We didn't talk about that one specifically. Any other public comments? Okay, we're going to do treasurer's report.
Sure.
Don't give it to Craig. You want to go earlier?
Why don't you go through the list
Okay.
under archives?
Okay.
I don't have much to discuss. I have a couple checks to sign, and I do see that we received a new contract from Plozek and Sanderson. I'd like to review it and see if we could put it on the, probably, it's going to be tough. If we put it on the next selectmen's meeting, we don't really meet before town town meeting, and I'm gone at the one after that to approve it. So it may have to wait. But I'll read through it and see if there's anything, any significant changes and let you know.
Okay.
Other than that, I just have checks and a few bills.
Okay. Tax collector's not here. Laurie, you have anything?
I do. So the warrants and the proposed budget are available on the website. They're under the selectmen page.
I never got the notice that they were posted.
Okay, I'll send a notice out regarding that. I also posted the annual report. That's available
Oh,
to you.
excellent. Yep.
And the other thing is, I heard from Brad, he said the signs that we wanted for direction for voting are done.
Excellent.
So he was supposed to leave an invoice today? No?
Didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
Okay. So I think that's it.
Okay. Any code enforcement officer or anything?
No. Just code enforcement wise, not really. Don't have anything.
Try to move along quickly.
Yep.
Brian's not here. Conservation Commission meets shortly. Were you done?
Oh, well, I have something for the roads. I didn't know.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I hesitate because I
Go
don't
ahead,
know if you
jump
have
in.
questions for me. We posted the weight limit on the roads, and I had a gentleman request to start a logging operation. Technically, he has started it, but he's moved out, wants to come back in, and I told him we'd discuss it tonight. But looking at the weather in good conscience, I don't see how we can allow any exceptions, because for the next 3 nights, it's not even gonna get below freezing.
Barely, right, barely.
Yeah, and so I think at this point, unless we have a severe weather change, we just gotta make it stick.
That's Stoneham Road,
That's where he wants to move in.
the section we just.
Yeah,
completed.
and we just paved it last year, and, yeah.
I agree. Let's wait to
Yeah.
compare the load.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Conservation Commission is meeting first, I guess, next week. Heritage Commission, nothing to report. Cemetery trustees are meeting next week. Boards and committees, now's your chance, Greg.
I talked with Marilou about whether or not the definition of my professional relationship to the town should be changed from an independent contractor to a town employee. Part of that is because last year you folks appointed 2 town employees as assistant archivists. I supervise them, train them and supervise them. And it doesn't quite fly that I would be a consultant, independent consultant, when I'm supervising town employees who basically are doing the same thing that I'm doing. Other than I have the supervisory responsibility and I have the key to the vault, they don't. So I don't know if we need to, that what needs to be discussed is whether or not to do that, and then pay salary. Which I don't see any change in, but, you know.
Can we wait for Brian to come back? I don't see any issues, but I think we should wait for Brian on
Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah. I just won't bill for any of the work that I've done thus far in February until we clear it up so that it goes back to January 1st. Yeah.
Is that how you want to set it up? You don't want to be an independent contractor because this,
It puts the town, I think it puts the town in a delicate situation. I'm fine with not being an independent contractor. One of the the other towns that I worked for, they wouldn't let me be an independent contractor. I did a total of like 12 hours for them in a year, but they insisted that I be an employee. Another town, exact same thing. One other town still has me as an independent contractor. But I think, and Marilou and I talked about it, she's in total agreement that, I mean, she can speak to that herself, but I think it only makes sense to make it uniform.
It's from a HR
Yeah,
perspective.
from a labor law
Labor law.
standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense for him to be, especially where he's now supervising two people, for him to be an employee of the town versus an independent contractor.
I've been in situations before where independent contractors have supervised employees of companies. So
Tax assessor,
there's another one.
independent company.
So if it's something we have to do, of course, we'll do it, but I just want to make sure it's the right thing.
I can certainly call the Department of Labor tomorrow and ask them about it.
You're not expecting any trouble, are you, Craig?
I wouldn't have any trouble. I mean, I do my taxes accordingly. I'm totally covered. It's more the town. That's where it gets sticky. And it's why the two towns that I was prepared to be an independent contractor, I mean, I was hired to go in and do specific projects for them. Both of them, their administrators, town administrators, made it perfectly clear that the only way they would do it was as an employee. And it makes no difference, it's just a matter, you guys end up paying half of my social security instead of me paying 100% of my social security. There's no benefits. So it's half a dozen one, six of another.
So I will tell you that I typically go to labor law seminars every year. The state puts them on. There are others, the ones are coming up for this year in, I think, April and May, and I'll attend again. But a lot of what is covered, a good amount of time is spent on independent contractor versus employee. There are definite rules for what determines an independent contractor and what determines an employee. So I have books from past ones I've gone to, and I'll go back and I will call the Department of Labor and keep you appraised. But it, in my mind, from the way I view the labor laws, it only makes sense for Craig to be an employee.
Okay, so you let us know what they say?
I will let you know.
And then when Brian comes back.
Okay, but I heard same salary.
Well, that's what I would like to do, which is a discounted rate from what I charge other towns. But I mean, you guys have to approve that.
Yep.
And other than that, everything would be the same, I believe. I mean, the other thing about it is that the town did create the position. The legislative body created it in either 94 or 95, I think it was 95. It doesn't, in the warrant article, I don't believe it said as a town employee position, but there's kind of the implication that it's a town position. Now, I suppose you could argue, well, we just hire it out to independent contractors, just like you do with a road agent.
Different though, right?
Yeah.
See, he pays his employees.
Right.
Right. Little different.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. We've got to fix, we don't have the old business that I have on the agenda. We have to pick election hours and setup time. We'll just, we've got to be there from 1 to 6. So we'll just split the hours.
Okay.
what I'll do tonight for warrant article assignments, I'll take a copy of the warrant articles to make assignments for who's gonna talk to which ones. And I'll pencil in the hours that I'd like you guys to cover. All right, if there's any problems, get back to me.
Is the voting going to be in the schoolhouse?
Heavy sigh, it's gonna be in that structure. The question is, I think it's much more comfortable in the big room. Is an hour enough time for us to knock down the booths and set up chairs? That's the question we have to wrestle with. I think we'll get plenty of help setting up chairs. The stage will be set up. Can the ballots and the election officials go into the schoolhouse at that point to count? Then an hour would be sufficient, I think, to set up chairs. Otherwise, it's going to be crammed into the schoolhouse. And I just think, we did it once. It's more comfortable in the big room.
Yeah.
So we'll wrestle with that. We have to pick a time to set them up. We'll run that at a time. We have a zoning issue that we'll put on the table for a future meeting. It was pointed out to the board that every town is supposed to have a town investment policy from the selectmen. And Craig's done some research into the vault and into old meeting minutes, and I guess the selectmen never had one for 200 years, but it's time to have one. So I'd like to recommend that we ask Marilou to go to the accounting firm and have them draft a proposal investment policy for the town, given that I'm not an investment expert.
Good idea.
So could you come back with a
Yeah.
proposal
Sure,
that we can take a look at?
sure.
The Stoneham Road kiosk has been damaged and repaired, quote unquote.
Sort of repaired. The damage hasn't been repaired, but you can now open all three of the sections and
So
close them again.
we will talk about that
Yeah.
in the future. Any other public comments? Yes, Diane.
I have two. One is a suggestion to, regarding the investment policy. The New Hampshire Municipal Association has considerable resources, including, and I don't have it right off the top of my head, and I'm not sure I have it with me, in their library of documents, a policies and procedures archive, if you will, or book, that for, I think, $23, members can get not only the document, but also DVD or CDs or something where you can, it has sample documents for a whole slew of policies and procedures. Furthermore, in my own personal research in this area, it was very easy to come up with policies and procedure, investment policies. In fact, Wakefield had one that was noted in their minutes over the last year. So I say that not to suggest that Plodzik and Sanderson aren't worthy of that task, because I'm sure that they are, but it would be one item that would cost us money, and I think that it's a fairly simple process myself, and I would just ask that the board consider a lower cost avenue in this regard, plus the fact that we currently have no contract with Plodzik and Sanderson, evidently. The second item I wished to bring up is that is with regard to Wakefield, our expenses or our cost from for our Wakefield services. So in January, we received a bill that was $75,000 more than it was the previous year, and we know how that came about. But in the same month, Wakefield also recorded lower than expected shared expenses for the same costs, for the costs that had been billed through their process last year to Brookfield. The savings to Wakefield were further enhanced by revenues of $374,770 related to those costs, related to those services for which Brookfield shares only the cost, not the revenue. So I pulled out the worksheet for 2017, mindful that they had changed it in 2018 to add some additional items. But using that worksheet, Wakefield's net ambulance cost on that worksheet turned out to be $12,500. And what we paid to Wakefield for that same set of services, set of line items, was $30,000 and change. Had Brookfield so these numbers reflect their actual expenses that got posted on their website for 2017. Had Brookfield commensurately shared the actual costs and revenues, the ambulance cost alone would have been roughly $1,700 instead of $30,000. And so I would just ask that consideration be made for the future to engage in discussion with the folks in Wakefield about changing the way that those calculations are made. Thank you.
Okay. Can I go back to your first item on the investment policy? Would you like to head that up for the town? Give us a proposal?
No, but I'd be willing to share my research and pass that along to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll pay the bills, like, any other comments? Okay, let's go through the bills.
I have a couple to open.
Okay, so this is for $739 for cutting edge for the plows. This is from the CPA firm, $416. Had to do with QuickBooks to the MS 535 and work on for the town report. Oh, Brian's not here.
Yeah, we got another bill for Brian. Wasn't sure what to do with it.
Brian, he was going to follow up on that, right?
Yes.
He did tell me that he's made a couple of calls and he was waiting for a manager to call back.
Well, they give us a credit notice now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Dame Electric for working the generator, $258.20. 10 Construction for plowing the roads and sanding from February 12th through the 25th, $9,677.50. Easier, Marilou?
Yeah.
Oh, Staples, $144.05. A lot of toner. And salt, $1,923.81 to Granite State Material.
Two from Eversource.
Eversource for $41 and $253. Is that it? Yes, Marilyn?
I have what appears to be a statement from Plosick and Sanderson. I haven't seen, and I need to see that invoice that's in there to see how it affects this. If I
No,
can.
Which one?
It's from the account, $412.
416.
Yeah, well, yes, 416. You want the date on it?
Yeah, they're saying that,
That's it.
so this is probably in addition to that. There is 7. So if we paid this one, we owe them an additional $69. That's how it all turns out in the wash.
Okay, and an additional $69 to the accounting firm. I'll have to initial them all. Any others?
3 checks.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we pay the bills as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mail, we got, I'll sign those in a little while. Mail, we've got a letter from DOT, not a nice letter. We have to make sure that we get back to them with respect to our plans for posting the Moose Mountain Bridge. We've got to get a sign up, or tell them when we're gonna get the sign up.
The E2?
Yeah.
Those are ground clause. I can guys post it. If you continue to read the letter, it says if you don't get it up, there's liability there if somebody were to get hurt. It's not an issue of being hurt. And the other thing, that if you don't get it up right away, it says you will be disqualified from federal funding. So,
They asked for a letter back saying, notify us in writing if the sign has been corrected, so that we can notify the Federal Highway Administration of your compliance to our recommendations.
I can probably, let me see what I can do in the next day or two. If I can straighten up, maybe I can bolt on a piece to what's there, because it broke off a snowbank height.
So it's not just twisted over, it's gone?
I am sure it's laying on the ground there somewhere, under the snow. But here we got
We'll do it next time. We got a letter from DOT on what they're gonna resurface this year. They won't do that till the spring, so we can go over that later.
I need to add that one, I'm sorry. I've got mixed up with rhymes, I need 2 things of stamps.
Okay, I'd like to read another bill then. $100 for stamps from Marilou. Make a motion to pay it.
Make a motion to pay for stamps.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We'll sign those later. We'll deal with, yes, Craig?
Any chance Governor's Road is on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Shimming again.
Oh, jeez. I'd like to see the selectmen approach Joe Kenny and our elected representatives for them to take care of that road the way it needs to be taken care of. It's heavily traveled. It's dangerous as it is with people going too fast. Of course, it's only going to get worse when it's paved properly. But it's been put off and put off and put off. The edges on it are gone. It's a mess. And I think somehow Stratford County seems to get an awful lot of roads repaved. And I've always been under the impression that political leaning
I understand.
helps, particularly at the executive counselor level. And I don't think we ever approach Mr. Kenny, at least I've not heard any discussion of this town specifically going to him for help around issues. And I would strongly encourage you to be very assertive about it. I mean, the state just isn't taking care of their roads in our town, including 109, which they shimmed
Oh, I understand.
last year.
I understand. I think that's a good suggestion to get to him. I agree with you.
And,
Yeah.
Ed and Bill and Lino and
Yeah.
Bill, the other Bill. Thanks.
Okay. Any other public comments? We're gonna sign the checks after the meeting is over. Meeting's adjourned. I'm gonna do this for you, and you can go.
You all right, Craig?